What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas. I love hosting this show, and happy April Fool's Day. No fools here, unless actually I've always enjoyed the Fool is my favorite card in the Tarot deck. And I think that's a wonderful way to be in life because, of course, the Fool, from many points of view, is the highest level of consciousness because we're just living in total trust. Well, I trust that you are going to really enjoy tonight's show. I've invited 5 amazing people to present this evening. I'm so excited, I even lost my voice the moment the show started. We're going to have some really wonderful conversations with 5 fascinating people, and in no particular order, based really just on how I'm seeing them in my little Zoom boxes. We have Peter Sterling with us. He is an incredible harpist. You can probably get the idea based on what you see. And he is also deeply connected to our angelic realm. And speaking of being deeply connected to other realms, Rihanna Skywalker is with us. And I love what this woman offers. Every now and then, I'm blessed to see one of her readings for the day. And it always kind of sets my day with absolute inspiration. So it's great to have her with us. And he's back, of course, on April Fool's Day. We're going to have our beloved Swami Beyondananda and his alter ego, Steve Bierman, both of whom providing wit and wisdom. And Shashi Saluna is with us, coming all the way to us from Bali. She is a tantric priestess, goddess, master, author, teacher, lecturer, and someone who's deeply also tapped in. We've got all 4 of these beings are deeply tapped into other realms, which of course sets the stage for our 5th presenter, our beloved Desiree. And really all 5 of you, that's what you've got in common. You're all very connected to different realms. So we're going to have wonderful conversation. We're going to definitely take some questions from the audience. And to, as you all know, Omashar, our beloved, is in England with his mom. Let's definitely send prayers and love his way. And so we're blessed that Peter is going to be providing us with musical offerings throughout the night, including getting us started right now. And Peter, you need to turn on your microphone.
Okay, you got it?
Here we go.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here on Awakening the World. Always a joy to join in with this beloved community. So thank you for inviting me, Scott. And I'll just set the tone. Just going to play, just kind of improvise a little bit, and see how it goes. I was thinking there's so many things that I often like to play for, but tonight, right now, I want to play for those four brave souls that are riding at the tip of that rocket to the moon right now. It's just absolutely amazing as humanity is stretching back to the stars that they will be protected and they will return safely to Earth and their families.
I'm in Review, and let's all send some beautiful love and appreciation.
Thank you.
Beautiful way to start our show. That's so gorgeous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're going to have a chat with Peter in a little bit. I want to acknowledge this is our first show of the spring season. Thank you, because everyone in this room is someone who's registered for the new season. And I saw lots and lots of registrations flying in at the last minute. So whether you registered in previous weeks or two, or today, thank you for being with us. And I want to welcome all the people watching on Facebook and on YouTube. And also those of you, of course, watching the recording. A lot of people watch the replay. So welcome all. All right, we're going to have a chat with each of our guests. And our first guest is coming to us all the way from Bali. And this is the lovely and most enthusiastic Shashi. I always appreciate your amazing enthusiasm. And a little bit about her in her own words. She is a tantric facilitator and coach. She is passionate about the journey of embodied awakening, especially in the areas of sex, love, and intimacy. She has been on a spiritual quest starting at age 21 and has had an amazing life. We will certainly hear maybe a little bit about that. And she offers communication skills, trauma healing, deconditioning, shadow work, which is part of what we're going to talk about tonight, sexual awakening, intimacy, and other aspects of personal transformation. And I'm going to put a little bit more detail into the chat box for everybody. And we'll take a look at her website in a little bit. But, you know, Shashi, I have like a little list of people that I want to have on the show. It's kind of like people to remember to invite back. And you've been on that list. And then I saw your Facebook post all about working with entities and also about the light and dark masculine and differentiating between our shadow side, which we all have, versus the actual dark masculine. And both those topics grabbed my attention because they are so relevant right now. And so it's like, okay, I want to talk to Shashi and see what she has to say to our audience about these topics. So here you are, and welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very topical. I feel like our work in sexual healing and conscious sexuality is needed now more than ever, as the world is revealing a lot of shadow right now. It's hard for everyone to process. So I've been using my voice quite a lot to support people through that journey, with both their own healing and also with just making sense of it. And also not only making sense, but also finding solutions. I feel like when the shadow's showing itself, you can feel a bit overwhelmed by the darkness of the world. But if we know what the solutions are, then it can give us hope and a direction for the way forward.
Beautiful. So let's start with what's a healthy way of embracing and working with our shadow side?
Yeah, I think, well, and the first thing's really is being aware of the shadow, because shadow by its very nature is kind of hidden. And I think many of us we grow up seeing shadow around, we hear of rapes and abuses and darkness, and we most of us make a decision at some point, I don't want to be like that. And the thing is, then we dismiss all of our darkness, and our eros often goes with that. And we aim to make ourselves good people, which includes, of course, our spiritual journey. And I certainly did that. I was a Buddhist, and I was following different enlightened masters around India. And I was really cultivating the light side. I wanted to be love and light. But I noticed that, especially through relationships, that I wasn't all love and light, that there was a darkness within me that also needed to be healed. And that's when I started diving into Tantra, because I realized I need a journey, I need tools, and I need guidance. And I want to work out, what do I do with my anger? What do I do with my grief? What do I do with my eros? How do I integrate? How do I work out how to be a sexual embodied woman and also spiritual? Because many spiritual paths don't mention that, or they tell us actually desire gets in the way of your enlightenment, so you just have to dismiss it, which is fine if you're a monk. But I was not. At the age of 21, I wasn't ready to be a monk. So I think the first thing is understanding and acknowledging that although it's so great that we aim to be love and light and to cultivate that side of ourselves, nature has darkness as well as light. We sleep and rest in the nighttime, we wake up in the daytime, and harmony has both dark and light. Dark is healthy, but shadow is not. So first of all, we've got to understand the difference. Shadow is defined as what is cut away from love and consciousness. And why do we cut away part of our darkness? It's because of guilt and shame. If we were told there's something wrong, like maybe a little girl was told not to be angry, or boys are often told not to cry, but of course we can have any pattern going on. But anything you were shamed about, maybe you touched yourself as a child and you were shamed, don't touch yourself there, don't express that anger. And all those pieces, we lock them in the basement, and that's what becomes our shadow. And then we're busy cultivating our personality. We want to be loved, we want to be liked, so we put a lot of effort and awareness into the light side. But the dark side, the shadow, is going to trip us up again and again. It's especially going to show up in our relationships, and it's going to cause issues in our relationships until we have the courage and the tools to heal it. And the healing is integration. The healing is integration. Yeah, so that's in a kind of summary where to start. And I find, especially working with couples, a lot, whenever there's an affair, the person is acting out their repressed shadow, or breakups are often about this repressed shadow. So it's really vital to heal this piece, or it causes trouble.
Absolutely. I believe that shame is the great human epidemic. And as a coach, all day long, I'm working with people on their deepest, darkest stuff, including infidelity when that happens. or people, dealing with compulsion. I prefer to use the word compulsion than as opposed to addiction. And we all have compulsion towards certain things, right? It might be too much Haagen-Dazs ice cream at the end of the day. And the key is to learn to make it safe. Okay, these are the things that I'm attracted to. These are the things I fantasize about. These are sometimes the things that I do that I recognize might have hurtful consequences on myself and on others. And it's so important for us to create a safe place to talk about things so it doesn't get shoved down and then it comes out in inappropriate times and ways.
Yeah, absolutely. The safety is vital that we request it for ourselves, but also that we're aware that we give it to our partner and then people close to us, especially with partners, because if our partner has some kind of fantasy that doesn't involve us, we can get all jealous and triggered, but it's just a fantasy. It's actually not harmful and it's just revealing something about them. So we need to have the capacity to make it safe because it's better they can speak about it than acting it out or blocking and repressing part of themselves. The two choices society gives us is repressed desire or act it out hedonistically, which then causes harm if it's just acted out from the shadow itself. We really need to integrate love and eros back together. This is such a vital part of the journey for our healing. Like healing can be seen as integration. And something really key that we know from the ancient Tao Tantric arts, especially the Taoist part of the lineage, is there's so much energy trapped in these shadows. So much energy, because a piece of our life force got blocked. Maybe we were just a kid running around screaming and we were told to shut up and sit down. So that life force energy got blocked. And then there's this time bomb inside of us that just yearns to be passionate as an adult. But we keep it down because we've got this belief that we'll be rejected for it. But then if an opportunity comes along, and this is where affairs come in, relationship affairs, is like you've met someone and you're showing your nice side, but then there's an opportunity, I don't know, with your gym instructor, your salsa teacher, whoever, and suddenly that passion that got repressed can come out. There's so much energy there because that energy got blocked and it's like this time bomb. And that's why people do, if they don't integrate shadow consciously, the shadow can control them. And that can lead to these compulsive behaviors, addictions, affairs, things that we ultimately know are going to cause harm to ourselves or others, but we do them anyway. That's because there's so much energy in there. So it's much better to understand, how do we gently unravel that ticking time bomb? How do we do that with care and attention and unravel it and let that energy out and integrate that energy into our whole energy body? So it's not a separate piece that acts out sideways, but we're just integrated again, and passion becomes something that is part of our whole being that we can bring to our partner rather than segregate off.
Beautiful. Well, that kind of leads to the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. So I'll start with the question. Shashi did a beautiful kind of essay, if you will, or a blog all about entities. And, some of us have experienced dark entities, negative entities. For other people, it might be kind of a science fiction. So 2 questions. What can you say about your understanding of the reality of dark entities that can attach themselves to us? And since we were just talking about compulsions, to what degree do you believe that sometimes, or maybe always, our compulsions are an entity attached using our body for the alcohol, for the drugs, for the sugar, for the sex?
Absolutely. Why do we call alcohol spirits? There's history of there's images of alcohol with entities attached to it. Yeah. Anyway, to backtrack before I jump into that, I never wanted to believe in entities. It was a topic that really freaked me out, and I like to think of myself as very down to earth. However, in my line of work, I just have had to come to acceptance, because as I work with a lot of trauma release exercises, and I'm working with sexual trauma especially, I have just begun to see with my own eyes entities. I can now even recognize certain entities and see when one's passing out. I can sometimes tell if a woman has been with a particular school or guru that has an entity attached to it. So I have trained quite deeply in medical Qigong, which is like the shamanic part of the Taoist lineage that I'm a teacher of. And here I found really amazing guidance around working with entities. So we now have all of our teaching team are trained in working with entities. What I found really amazing in this training is to switch the idea from like us being a victim and an entity just landing on us, where we're like, okay, let me get the crucifix and the garlic and protect myself. But actually, it's always something that we're choosing, and not like consciously like, oh, let me have an entity, but we are choosing a relationship. We're creating a contract with an entity because we want something out of it. And so you're right, we could look at substances. I look a lot at sexual trauma. And of course, we can see now massive entities are happening. We've got the whole Epstein files coming out, and we're hearing about they're very deliberately, from what we hear, there is deliberate working with entities. Why would anyone deliberately work with an entity? Why would anyone want to work with Satan or the devil or a dark demonic force? Like those of us who've chosen the light our whole life, we think, why would anyone do that? The answer is in one word, and that is power. External power. And this is very big in the Taoist lineage, that we need to build internal power. And internal power comes from slaying our own demons, our own addictions, our own shadow. It's an inner job. And of course, we do Tai Chi and Qigong, and we build that inner power. We integrate our sexual energy into our light body, and we build an inner power. It doesn't take power externally. But our world, on the other hand, is full of people trying to get power. So most of our people in power, politicians, people we see in power, are sourcing power a lot externally. It even comes from like wearing a uniform, sitting at a big desk, having your name. All of these are external power. And a lot of it is like, oh, I'll sleep with you to get my power, or I'll pay you off and get power, I'll bribe you. All of this kind of unhealthy use of power is all laden with entities. And so we need to be scrupulous with ourselves to really track where we're sourcing our power, and we exchange life force energy for power. Now we hear in these very dark stories that people are exchanging other people's life force energy for power. But we all do it. Just to bring it down to earth to each of us, is each of us more ordinary people, we have to see, where am I giving my power away? This could be even medication, like if we're going through depression and rather than healing it, we're going to use a medication. It can be through, I gave that example of who in Hollywood, you sleep with a film director to get power. In the spiritual world, sometimes people attempted to sleep with the guru. And I'm always saying, you do not have to sleep with the guru to get enlightened. It's an internal job. Watch yourself. If you are trying to get power from somewhere externally, then you are forming entity attachments, whether that's an entity held on one person, a school, a body. Entities form when energy is held together. And so we could, a school, we talk about a business being an entity, actually, and we're channeling our energy towards something. So whenever I incorporate a business, I go to the Kuan Yin temple and I offer my business to Kuan Yin, and I pray that it become a channel for people's healing and that it is divinely protected. I have not missed the fact that we call a business an entity, and I want my businesses to be entities of healing. And so, entities are simply energies that have a certain formation. Any religion has an entity. Like anything that people channel energy towards starts to form an entity. And so we want to be very aware of entities. And I talk about having energetic hygiene. In sexuality, people know about their STD tests and whatever, STI tests. And I say, well, also check on your energetic hygiene. How many lovers does this partner have? Do you know who they're intimate with? How does it feel for you energetically? In Tantra, in real Tantric lovemaking, we pray together before we make love so that the energy we're moving together is consecrated towards our higher selves and causes no harm to any living being. So there are many things we can do to keep a very good energetic hygiene. And I think entity clearing is something just to do on a regular basis, like we clear out from parasites after we've been traveling. It's a good idea to scan our being and to really check, am I giving my power away anywhere? Have I made contracts and agreements that I really need to release and take my power back and reclaim my energy into my energy body. So, yeah, this is a little bit about the way that we are working with energies, not with fear, but with understanding.
I so appreciate everything you're saying about that, and a couple of things. You mentioned that entities are formed or attracted. Would it be accurate to say when we are grasping for power, or grasping, and I would add grasping for money, or grasping for sex? And I just put into the chat box a video. I know a lot of my people have already seen it. It's a video that I did about money, sex, and power. And a teaching that one of my early teachers, Grandfather David, shared with me about the alternative of grasping for money, sex, and power, but instead to go for service and devotion and humility.
Yes.
Those are true values. And unfortunately, we live in a culture, especially Western culture, that really promotes money, sex, and power as being what's of value, when in fact it's actually, those are false values. So last,
Yes. This, I just really want to highlight that like actually it's a whole paradigm shift, and our paradigm of it's basically consumerism. That is, there's competition, and you've got to grasp, and you've got to, like do whatever it takes. Look at our politicians; they do whatever it takes to get power. It's very competitive. Whereas when you're in service and you offer your service every day to the highest divine truth, the universe will give you everything you need. No grasping needed.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. People ask, how can such an egomaniac become president? Not to mention any names. Well, it's that very huge, insatiable ego that made God knows what agreements and did God knows what things to rise to that level of power.
Absolutely. And so we really want to switch from personal power, which is power over, to divine power, which is just asking the universe to help us source power from within and from above. This is the healthy power. And there's no need to have power over anyone else. It's an internal power. And this, I feel, is what our whole world is switching now. We're seeing all the ugliness, all the shadow, all the darkness of that unhealthy power that we've all just been surrendering to for decades. Well, I mean, a lot of us have been waking up, but we've been trusting that they're taking care of us.
Yeah,
And now it's field, right? It's like, oh my goodness, like our whole power structure is the actual structure of it. We can't just replace this, our prime ministers, our presidents with a new one. We need to change the entire structure and understand.
Structure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Elizabeth April, and I think what she says about Trump is accurate in that he is just destroying everything. And on the one hand, he's the great disruptor, and there's so much ego and craziness in the process. But if everything's kind of taken down, then hopefully we can then, more conscious human beings can come in and create a new structure, a new system that is truly holistic and sustainable.
Yes, I hope for that. We can just pray that it's as smooth as possible, right? That at least harm happens as possible. And I believe there's so many of us ready who've been living this way for a long time. We're ready with that new earth.
Absolutely. Maximum grace. Maximum grace.
Yes.
Shashi is going to be with us all evening. We're going to have a whole Q&A time where audience can put in questions. I do want to read a couple of things that have come in while you've been talking, Shashi. Eleanor Troy writes, this is so refreshing. Certainly none of these insights were around when people like me needed them as long as 60 years ago. Dietrich says, yes, ditto. Susan writes, this presentation has been very impactful. Such great truth. Gerald Anderson, who's our wild monk from the Mystic Monastery. He's the steward of 10,000 acres in Puerto Rico. He writes, in my book on healing, I'm working on there's a chapter on exorcism. And what I wrote is very close to how Shashi spoke of as a contract. One entity which I encountered when I asked this being, the entity, what its job was, out of the lady's mouth, the entity said, Its job was to create an oil slick around this person so they never had to deal with any intimacy.
Can I just mention something on that? This is such a great example here that we see again and again, especially where there was sexual abuse. Then often as a child calls for help and they actually call in an entity. So childhood trauma is often connected to entities. And actually that entity, it's not like it was a bad thing, it was protective. And there comes a point in life where you're ready as an adult to say, actually, now I'm going to release this protection, this protective mechanism that's keeping away intimacy or whatever. It's usually intimacy, actually, so that I can take courageous steps back towards intimacy. So it's important to understand and we often thank entities. Thank you for your job. I called you in. Now we're ready to let you go.
Beautifully stated. As Dia just wrote in the chat box, this interview with Shashi is dynamite. Talk about disclosure. Thank you, Shashi. You are a godsend. So Shashi will be back. We've got several other amazing people to meet. And I'm going to roll right into our beloved Peter Sterling. And, one of the things that's beautiful about Peter is he also has had a lot of experience with beings that are not human, and that's the angelic. And Peter has had just the most beautiful experiences with the angelic realm, which has influenced his amazing music. A reminder to put on, to turn off the full sound.
Got it.
Thank you.
Got it.
Hey, welcome, buddy.
Hey, thank you for having me again, Scott. Wonderful to be here with everybody.
It's always so good to have you with us. And you're who you are as a being. And of course, it shows up in the music that you play is truly angelic. And if you don't mind repeating the story, would you be willing to share a little bit about your extraordinary encounter with angels?
Yeah, certainly. I love telling the story. It's my Sedona story, how I was drawn here to the land of the Red Rocks about almost 40 years ago now. It was in 1988 when I came for the first time, and I came here on my spiritual quest. I was led here by my inner voice, and I came by myself, and I came down in the springtime, down from Flagstaff, down through Oak Creek Canyon, and the first time I laid my eyes on the Red Rocks, because back in the 80s, we didn't have an internet, and there was no way. I just heard rumors of this beautiful Red Rock vortex area and formations. And, when I saw the Red Rocks for the first time, especially when I got down near Slide Rock, I had to pull over because I was so struck by the beauty and the majesty and the ancient presence of the Red Rocks here. And then with the beautiful Oak Creek and the water, crystalline water flowing by, I was like in heaven. And so long story short, I ended up moving here, and I came to live as an artist here. I set up my glass studio. I'm a stained glass artist my whole life. And but then after a time, I got a message from Spirit that I was to close up shop. I was to release all of my material possessions and acquire a Volkswagen camper van, and that I was going to be going on a journey, a walkabout, so to speak. And so I did that. And I moved out of the house, moved into the van, like many people are living in their vans here now. And I was one of the pioneers maybe with that. But I ended up sleeping every night out in the canyons and all over Sedona, because back in those days you could park and camp anywhere you wanted. There was no restriction on anything. And really just immersed myself in nature, hiking every day out into the canyons. And, the most profound thing, I did a lot of inner work on myself, healing work. I wrote a book about my experiences called Hearing the Angels Sing, a true story of angelic assistance. And I write in great detail about what happened to me here. So if people want to check that out, that's where you would go. But I was guided to just go out into the canyons and meditate and fast and just listen to silence, is what I say, and just immerse myself in the pristine tranquility and silence that exists in the canyons. Especially back then, there were like no helicopter tours, or I used to be able to hike in Boynton Canyon and just be like the only one I would see all day. It was amazing back in those days, and had a lot of amazing experiences. But really what happened was, as I went deeper into the silence, and I started to have some mystical kind of transcendental experiences, and I started to go through different levels of awareness. I kind of call it, like in the yoga tradition, they talk about samadhi. And I was able to just kind of immerse in a sustained period of like no thought. And what the Buddhists talk about, emptiness. I just really went into the emptiness and I just sat and bathed in it, you know. And there's this wonderful quote we all know, silence is golden. So I just immersed into the supreme stillness and silence there. And then, you know, all of a sudden I was like taken up into the golden light. And all of a sudden I heard this beautiful music. It was really like an out of body experience. And I heard this like heavenly sound. I thought maybe somebody was out there with a portable stereo playing some symphonic music that I was catching a bit on, floating on the wind. But then I realized, no, this was something of a divine origin. And I had read books and heard stories of many of the saints and masters speak of the inner light and sound. And all of a sudden I was having my own experience of tuning into it. And so I was taken up and I was in this kind of rapturous, ecstatic state. And I was in the golden light, and you know, my third eye was just kind of seeing in these other dimensions, this higher celestial sphere. And I could feel there was somebody or some things around me. And as I adjusted my inner vision, to my astonishment, as my focus came into being, I was surrounded by a group of angels that were with me. The little cherubs, you know, that we see in the classic Renaissance art and in the architecture of the Italian churches. I was in Venice last year and they're carved everywhere, you know, playing harps and flutes and violins, just like in the great art. And there they were. And they were kind of swarming and flying around me. And eventually what happened was I was able to make a connection and communicate with them through pure telepathy. I was just observing, and all of a sudden I could hear them in my head. They were like, look at him. Do you think he can see us? Do you think he can hear us? And I was like, oh my God. In my mind, I said, yes, I can see you. Can you hear me? And they said, yeah, we can see you. We can hear you. Can you hear us? I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And as soon as they realized that we had made this connection, they got so excited, like a little angel party broke out. They got so excited and animated. And you know what I later learned, it was kind of it's a rare thing for, you know, a human mortal to make that kind of telepathic connection to the angels on the other side. But I went on many journeys with them during this time. And ultimately, Scott and everybody, they revealed to me my mission. They came to me as messengers because when I was hiking and meditating in the wilderness, I was just praying for my mission. Because like many here, I knew I was a light worker for many, many years. And I knew I was here to assist in the great awakening, the great dawning of the golden age and the ascension. And I was just praying, what is my mission? What's my purpose? How can I contribute to this? And all of a sudden they said, well, your mission is to play the harp and to be a channel for the heavenly music. And I was like, wow, you know, and they said, together we'll work as a team to bring some special music to earth at this time of this great awakening. And at first I thought maybe I was making it up in my imagination, but and then I realized, no, it was really happening. So eventually I said yes. And within a short time, just a matter of days, I met a woman here in town who had a small harp and for sale. And I ended up acquiring the small harp and taking it. It was a little harp. I could sling it, the case over my shoulder and hike out into the canyons, which I would do every day. And just take out my magic harp and begin to strum the strings. My hands just began to move effortlessly, like I knew what I was doing. And as I let go, the angels were like saying, trust, surrender, and let go. And so the more that I let go, all of a sudden my fingers just began to move on the strings. And I would watch this. I was just amazed at what was happening. It was very intense. I would break out in intense sweat. My hands would be trembling and my eyes would be tearing profusely. It was a very high frequency energy. But ultimately, following their guidance, I made my first recording here in Sedona after only 10 months of playing by myself. I took no formal lessons, just following their guidance. They said, it's time to go in the studio and record these little melodies coming through. And I followed their guidance from beginning to end. I made my first album, Harp Magic, here in 1993. So, you know, just recently I celebrated my 30th anniversary, now going on my 33rd anniversary, I guess now. Of my first recording. And that album went out. It got discovered by a record label who released it worldwide. It got nominated for a national award that year of String Album of the Year. And it just launched my career. And everything the angels showed me was going to happen indeed has happened. So it's just been an extraordinary journey. And that brings me here with you guys. All these 30 plus years later, here I am living in Sedona, looking out my window up at Thunder Mountain, and in my recording studio here. This is where so much of my music has happened. I have 17 albums now that I've released of instrumental new age music. So it's been an incredible journey. I'm very grateful for everything.
What a blessed life.
Mm.
And as Eleanor Chori just wrote, way to go, Peter. This is an excellent counterbalance to hearing about dark energies.
Mhm.
And Shashi says, yes, isn't it
Mhm.
perfect? And it is kind of interesting how it flowed. I just kind of put these shows together very intuitively.
Yeah. Well, I will interject here that I love Sashi's talk because during that time when I was living in my van and spending so much time I had to like slay my own dragons. I came into contact with my own demons, my own shadow and dark side. That was part of the purification I had to go through in order to attain the higher frequencies, to connect with those heavenly energies. So it is very pertinent, and I really appreciated her talk.
Is there anything you can say about how to identify those dark energies and how you quote slayed those dragons, or anything you can share about that?
Well, I write about it in my book. One of the most incredible experiences I had, when the angels gave me the harp back in, this is like 1993, and I started to perform right away. And I noticed that my harp playing could enchant people. And so I loved just the being out there and playing and seeing the response I had. And of course, I was a younger man. So I was like, wow, look, I can play my harp and look how these pretty girls like to watch me play. And then long story short, in my van, I was driving on a country road in Taos where I was living at the time. And I had a fuel leak, as it turned out, and my Volkswagen van caught fire. And my harp's burned up in a fire, and I lost everything. And the angels said, you see, we did not give you this gift so that you could get laid. This is not for that. This is for the healing and the upliftment of humanity. And it was a really intense experience. I never knew if I would play the harp again. I went 6 months without getting another harp. I really had to do a lot of recapitulation, a lot of reviewing my life, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of asking for forgiveness and reconnecting. And then the harp came back into my life, and then I went on my journey. But that was a real time of dealing with my shadow.
Oh, thank you so much for being honest about that.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanted to be the rock star harp player,
okay.
but no, they said that's not what this is for. So I learned a big lesson. And now when I'm playing, I just very center myself, and I'm kind of just communing with the one and just letting it flow. And I'm not doing to impress anybody, really. It's just a natural gift from the soul. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that honesty. I grew up in Los Angeles in the entertainment industry, and I was fortunate to be very successful at an early age. And I won my first Emmy Award at age 23.
Wow.
But as you're talking about your ego, I can also recognize that back then, if I met somebody within 30 seconds, they knew that I'd won an Emmy Award. And I finally, my best friend said, "Why don't you just put it around your neck, Scott?" And it was that same thing. It's similar in that, I had such an ego identification of that. And that happens when we're younger.
Sure.
We have a certain success, and it takes time. I think it takes time for us to recognize that all true gifts are a blessing. It's all grace. When it was grace that I could produce television shows that were successful. It's grace that you connected and heard the angels and played the harp, and the beautiful, amazing things that happen in our life is grace. And if we can always just be humble and be grateful for the grace that comes through us, as opposed to thinking it's because we're better than anybody else. So thank you for that. So, question, in this world right now where there's so much shadow being exposed in the world, and so many scary things in the headlines, how do you work with the angelic energy? How do you keep 17 albums creating new harp music? Do you have one foot in the matrix, or have you completely left the matrix and just live in your own angelic realm?
You know, Sedona, the energy here really facilitates living in a higher vibrational state. It's not in the mainstream. The beauty here is very uplifting to the heart and soul. In my home here that I've had now for 14 years, I've created a beautiful kind of angelic sanctuary. I call it Casa and what do I call it? House of the Angels kind of a thing, you know. And I have crystal gardens and my beautiful art because I do this beautiful artwork that the angels have showed me, and I have beautiful gardens. And I also do tours here, you know, Jeep tours for many, many years. I have a tour company. So I feel grateful that I get to just immerse myself here and work with my clients and take them out onto the land, into the canyons, and I bring a harp and crystal bowl, and I call in the angels, and I introduce my clients to the angelic energies with the harp, especially the wind harp. I do this very unusual. I hold the harp up into the wind and it sings like angelic choirs. It's very, very beautiful kind of heavenly sound. So I've really created a sanctuary and I've got my whole scene here, which really keeps me very uplifted. I feel like even with the craziness of the world and being here in Sedona, it has allowed me to maintain kind of a high level of awareness here. And of course, my music, I feel blessed that the music is like a sanctuary for me, playing the harp, you know, with these vibrations of this sacred instrument. It really keeps my nervous system in tune and keeps me connected to that higher light. So, and for those who are listening, you know, I invite you to come to my website, harpmagic.com, and just have a listen. I also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, you know, Pandora. I have great playlists of my music. It's very healing. You know, if you go to my website, you would see many, many letters I've received from all over the world that people describe their experience of listening to the music. And that's why the angels gave it to me. It was a vehicle. It's really a like an angelic transport to help to bring people into resonance with that unified field of oneness, the divine love from the angels and God, the creator, the heavenly host. You know, they come through this music, and the music is like holographic. So when you listen to it, if you close your eyes, it can create beautiful visions and imaginings in your mind's eye. And that's how it was created. I think that's part of it's a very immersive experience. So there's the website. Come and have a listen. I've got all my links there. I got some great videos. I've been winning some awards for my current albums and videos. So just come over and have a listen, see how you feel. And if you want to drop me a message, I do have a Facebook page for Peter Sterling Music, and you can check out my stuff there and we can connect. And if you come to Sedona, you want to go out on the land and have an angelic experience in the canyons, please get in touch.
Beautiful. Well, would you be willing to bless us with a little bit of your music right now?
I certainly would. Certainly would. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to change my sound to original music, and I'll play for a few minutes. I'll do another improvisation here, kind of based on my most recent album, Heaven Sent. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you.
Is that sounding good?
Sounds amazing.
Awesome.
I'm going to go to gallery view again. Let's send some love and appreciation. It was beautiful watching so many of our people floating in the beautiful ethers, Peter. So beautiful. So thank you. Thank you. And again, everybody, we're going to have questions and answers and a chance for all of you to ask questions of Peter and Shashi and our other guests. But I want everybody to have a chance to spend a few minutes. And we're going to stay right in Sedona. It's a Sedona-themed show tonight, I believe, because our next guest, you've seen her on the show before, is also coming to us from that magical Red Rock paradise that so many of you are saying that you love. I certainly love it. And this is Rihanna Skywalker, and she is the Mayan mystic, an astro-intuitive oracle synthesizing cosmological insights to orient us to our highest timeline trajectory in this now moment. She is a cosmic connector to the dream field. She is a mentor and a guide for those seeking quantum self-mastery. And the show we just did on Saturday night was all about quantum consciousness and serendipity. A little bit more about Rihanna. She fell in love with Mayan soul astrology in 2000, only to discover that an ancestor was one of the very first Mayanists to record the glyphs. In 2012, she began channeling decodes of the glyphs and the shift that we are all in. She's launching an app for aligning with divine time to access more of the magic that's available when we live more from our soul blueprints. And as I said earlier in the show, every time I'm blessed to read her kind of explanation of the energies of the day, it's like, oh man, it's deep. I have to read it a few times for my little muggle brain to comprehend it, but it's always deep and very insightful. And I said, Rihanna, it's spring and there's all this stuff going on. I want you to share with the audience your wisdom. So thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me back. It's good to be with the Peace Tribe again. So I've prepared a little presentation for you.
Oh my God, fantastic. I'm gonna spotlight you completely and get out of the way.
And I'll take you through it because I want to orientate everyone with like what's really going on. So there's this, reality that we see that's triggering us in all sorts of ways. And the previous speakers, both of whom I've met, have alluded to themes that are written into the cosmic story that we're in. And when we can see things from that perspective, I think it really helps us to sort of relax and go along with the ride and really realize what's being called for. Because of course, there's just so much distraction that's bidding for reaction rather than the inward journey, which is much more rewarding. And obviously, it is a very special time. And it's April. This is like the most intense month of this year and of our age, really. And I'll show you that. And then you can ask me some questions. Hopefully, technically, this will work. So bear with me. I'm going to, will it work for me to share my screen?
Yes, you have screen share privilege.
Great. I'll stick this down there and stick this down there and then I'll play. There we go. Okay, so it's the Great Reset. And of course that expression was put out there into the field to scare us so that we would have an emotional reaction to those words. But actually, it's a cosmic reset. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we are the dream of ourselves, and we are awakening from the dream of forgetfulness, as in forgetting that we've dreamt this all into being, and that we have that sovereign creator energy, the life force, that when we pull it back from the shadow and from the disowned, fragmented parts, we could coalesce and create something of a higher frequency when we remember who we are. So that's what's really going on. And these are a little review, because many of you have seen me present before. So we're currently in 2 major cycles of 13 years. And so the first cycle that we're in is the Age of Truth, which was 2017 and will go through to 2030, another date that's been echoing. And this is a terrestrial era, which I call, if you can see that behind there, the simulation script. And it's taking us on a journey of revealing the method of the entrancement of us forgetting who we are, and returning us to the heart chakra, returning us to love, where we can see and receive the truth of our being. And so that's the journey. And of course, the truth will set us free, but at first it might annoy us somewhat. So it's not an easy path. That's why the mirror is connected to the sword of truth, which will cut us away from what we've tethered ourselves to that is not true. For instance, that maybe the compulsion that this will give me power or this will give me light. These were not true. So these things are all being severed. And there's a big light being shown on what do we know to be true. And a lot of that has been confronted since 2017 and is in the process of going through that. So it is a new world order, and there's surgical clarity going on. It's a spiritual refinement process, and we're transcending the illusion and returning to love. So these are those themes that are in that wave. And then we have another wave, which is the galactic wave, which is connected to the Sirius soul script. So it's more of our spiritual story, another level of the matrix of reality. And we're in the remembrance. So of course the truth allows us to remember who we are. And so we've been in the white wizard wave since the summer of 2019, which is why we had 2020. Which was because we needed to start to wake up a little bit. A lot of us have been working on that for a long, long time, but it's really accelerated, and I'm sure that you can see that. And a major part of the Dark Wizard program has been the usurping of sexual energy, as Shashi was mentioning. And this cycle is very important for us to get our life force back and become sovereign within our life force, because it is the embodiment of that light force that reminds us who we are in truth, which is something that can only be received from the higher realms. So we're in these 2 incredible spiritual waves. So it's a time of spiritual refinement and upgrading. We're going up a level, like humanity is having to go up a level. And that's why it's been so intense. But we are currently in the convergence of these 2 waves in a very interesting way, which hopefully will be clear. So we're in the galactic year, which is the 7th year of the cycle that we began in 2017 of yellow resonant seed. And this is about attuning the star seeds to remember their mission. I don't know if I can move that. and whether you can see all of that there. But anyway, it's aligning us. It's in the wave of white mirror, which is the age of truth, but it's in the cycle of the wizard. So we've got the truth, the truth and the wisdom bisecting each other in a very interesting way, which will allow us to tune in to the truth and emerge with fearless innovation for new systems, because there is a new resonance, new earth frequencies coming in, which will allow the divine plan of where we're really going, rather than any of the noise that is coming up in reality, where we're really going. So when we're paying attention to the right perspective, then we can be on time with the divine and receive maximum grace. And the terrestrial year, which is kind of perfect from the two previous speakers, we're in the 10th year of the white mirror years, and we're in the blue planetary night year, which is all about going into the dream field, reclaiming the dream field. And the dream field is where the shadow has been playing out, because we've been mostly living in this very polarized reality, suppressing all of these energies, separated from the truth of who we are, and projecting out these shadows that we see playing back at us that we haven't owned. And all of that is collapsing. All of that is coming up to be redefined. So blue night is the dark night of the soul, but it is also the yin wu wei, the dream field of pure potentiality. And the more that we detach from all of the things that we're attached to, our beliefs that create paradigms, that create attachments, all of that, if we collapse all of that and go into what Peter mentioned, the stillness, the silence, the nothingness from which everything comes, there we can reconnect with the true light, rather than this false light reality that has kept us rather occupied. And so this is a year that is very important in the dark wizard agenda, hence why it feels extra intense. But it's also, seeds are germinated in the dark. So there's a perfect marriage between these two archetypes that these two waves have converged on. So as we are in the unknown, the newness wants to emerge. And so this is where we are. And then the astrology of the Great Reset is partnering beautifully. And basically, we've had 9 months to rebirth reality. And we're in this process now. So in November, we had Pluto go direct and to go into Aquarius and not to return to Capricorn. Then in January, we had Neptune go into Aries, and then Saturn in February. And then this month, we have Uranus going into Gemini. All of these things, June, Jupiter, Leo, and then the North Node shifting, all of these things are basically the sort of structure of the dream field changing, which means that we could have a new dream of ourselves, or even the opportunity is probably to tune into the dream of our soul, the dream of Gaia that we share, that we are here to facilitate, to bring into an experience. So April is astounding astrology. It really is the Great Reset. So with that in mind, it's likely that the dark wizard distraction machinery will go into overdrive. But we have to remember, which is why it was good to come on, that there's something else going on underneath, or above, I should say, above this projected reality. And so basically on the 17th, we have 7 celestial bodies in Aries: Neptune, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Chiron, Sun and Moon, and they are all trining Pluto and Uranus. It's really the reset, because Aries is the beginning of a new zodiacal journey. So everything is resetting, but it's resetting in quite a deep way. There's so many layers to this, and there's only so much I can share on this, but it really is the transition time between the ages of Pisces and Aquarius. And we really are able to implement new systems now, whereas before there was a different structure. And so this spring is really a time for things to be very, very different. If we allow it, if our consciousness can let go and we can be in the unknown without fearing it, and we know we're just anchoring in a deeper frequency, and that this is what is cosmically coming in, and that we can be facilitators of that. And oh gosh, I wonder if you can see that, because I've got this whole load of images over the top of it. So the 17th of April is Red Crystal Moon, which happens to be in the white mirror wave, so connects to the age that we're in and the galactic year that we're in. And it's all about cooperating with this receptive energy, the divine feminine, being able to receive these new frequencies, to receive the truth that will set us free. It might annoy us because we have to let go of some illusions and delusions, but ultimately it is bringing us into the heart chakra, bringing us into alignment with love, bringing us into alignment with truth. And so that's the opportunity of the 17th of April, very soon, with all of these fiery placements of the celestial bodies that really are like us. We've been feeling like, I'm so done with this. Come on, let's start something new. This is old news. Let's start something new. But really now we can. But the beginning of that is this surrendering into the silence and the stillness and the unknown, releasing the shadows that maybe prevent us from staying in there, and being super receptive to the flow that wants to flow in. And then we have on the 25th of April, Uranus going into Gemini, which I see as a consciousness coherence event, which obviously is over a long period of time, but I believe that we already had a little taste of it. But now it's really going to come online. And this Gemini is this polarity collapsing, the two hemispheres communicating again, this like becoming aware of the two sides of ourselves, our terrestrial human experience and our galactic spiritual experience perhaps. And then when they're really in coherence with each other, what ideas are going to come through which aren't based on anything we've ever done before, which is scary but exciting. Yeah. So that day is going to be a red resonant earth, which happens to be the hidden power of the galactic year. Seeds are sown in the earth. And that's in the wave of Blue Monkey. And Blue Monkey is connected to the essence self. It's the inner child. And when we heal the wounds of the inner child that take us into shadow, and make us afraid of the unknown, then we step into the magic of the inner child, who is pure love. And in that frequency, we can attune, resonate with the earth frequencies that are coming in for us to awaken the seeds of the new earth. So that's super exciting. So basically the dream field is being reset, and we have a new template, a new operating template, should we choose to use it. These are some of the themes, basically attune to higher vibrational creation, seed the future from love's vibration. That's the true mission, only love. And then blue planetary night is The Crossing of the Ages, and it's about us reclaiming the dream field because the dark wizard has made us very afraid and fearful. And in fear, we fragmented and polluted the astral realms and all this unknown space with a lot of stories that keep us from the creative potential that is there, the quantum potential. So we are in the age of Aquarius, which is about a coherence with creator consciousness. So the way that I see it is it's not a divergence of timelines that many speak of. It's basically that at this time, the vernal equinox, the sun star, is actually in both the Pisces and Aquarius constellation because we're in the transition from one age to another. Some are already on the new consciousness frequency, and some are still in the old consciousness frequency. Yellow resonant seed is bringing the attunement to align to higher truth, and blue planetary night is bringing the new dream field where our soul script seeds become manifest. The zodiacal reset marks the reset of the dream that is simulated, our simulated reality. And as we allow definitions of reality to dissolve into unknowns, we awaken a new template of possibilities. Uranus in Gemini offers a revolution in consciousness as the separation between the hemispheres of our mind collapse into the unified awareness that allows a full remembrance. We are waking up from the dream of forgetfulness. We are the ones, and now is the time. So that was a download. I know it's a lot, but I'm sure you'll enjoy receiving that on different levels. And I've sent this to Scott so he can share the PDF so that you can look at it a little bit more in your own time.
Rihanna, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for the extraordinary work you do in helping us to really understand what's happening. And by the way, April 25th is when we're having our anniversary show.
Oh,
It's our 6-year anniversary. So,
perfect day for it.
so isn't that, and you know what's interesting, it was originally going to be April 11th, but then Omashar had to go to England to be with his ailing mom, and we can't have the anniversary show without Omashar.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already booked something else on the 18th, where all of the New Living Expo. So, all right, well, I guess the 25th. So I had no idea that it would be that magical and special day.
Very significant. Yes, that's when everything will have locked into place.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see
We
what
will be
comes through.
celebrating them.
Yeah.
I want to take people to your website. It's MayanMystic.com. And I encourage everybody to go there. And Rihanna is amazing. Now, you do personal readings for people as well, correct?
I do. And I work with people. I've also been on the tantric path, like Shashi. We met in Bali many years ago. And I was hosting my Tantra Master there. So yeah, I've been working with people. I basically do the reading to sort of see the soul script and then work with people, mentoring and one-on-one retreats to help them step into self-mastery of their truth, their true blueprints. Yeah, I'm now going to be working on finishing some books, this app, and future iterations will be some more sort of bigger events that are using the dream spell to look at the constellation of your life path. So I'll share that more with you at a later date.
I had no idea that you and Shashi knew each other, by the way. So it's really kind of interesting how this is all kind of weaving together quite magically. I just pulled your PDF that you had sent me. I put it in the chat box for people.
Awesome.
And we are going to have more of Rihanna during our audience Q&A. I did see some messages coming in. Connie Baxter Marlowe, who was with you in Sedona, is, and of course, we've got the Day Out of Time coming out. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that during Q&A. Brianna, I so appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for taking the time to put together such a beautiful presentation that's so clear. And I will send it out to our entire subscriber list and make sure that it's as best as possible seen far and wide. Thank you.
It's good to everyone to know, so that they can be present for what the presents that want to come in.
I also really appreciate how you diplomatically remind us periodically of the show that's being put on, the movie, and you do it in a way that's really quite accurate, but very diplomatic. And that, good job. We still have Swami Beyondananda, also known as Steve Berman. And of course, most of you know Steve. He's been on the show probably the most of any of the people here tonight, other than Desiree. But for anyone who does not know, Swami Beyondananda is the alter ego of author, comedian, and workshop leader Steve Berman. And his work has been described both as wisdom described as comedy and comedy disguised as wisdom. Our beloved Marianne Williamson has called him the Mark Twain of our times. And he's got a really special a couple of events, both online and in person, that we're going to talk about. But he's going to share a little bit, and then we're going to take questions for Swami. So if any of you have questions for Swami, put them into the chat box now so that I can ask the Swami some questions. Welcome, Swami, back to the Awakening World.
Well, thank you so very much. This is a very, very auspicious day. April 1st, April Fool's Day, and a full moon. So we have a rare full moon. This is a full moon celebration. And it's great to be on Awakening World because the world needs to awaken. I've said either we will have an awakening or we will have a wake. So this is my holy day, April Fool's Day, when I often deliver the State of the Universe address. So I'll share that with you today. State of the universe, ever-changing, same as always, humming along swimmingly. And again, this year, the universe once again expanded, so they've had to let the photon bell out just one more notch. And meanwhile, back here on this little planet, or as God calls it, the Comedy Channel, well, the world is in serious condition, largely because of our conditioning to be serious. Seriously. We have a new word, we have a situation. Now, in a recent reality check, a whopping 70% of people said that they disapproved of the current reality. Now, talk about uncertainty. You've heard of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle? They're not even sure about that. So everywhere people are asking, what is going on? Is this the hand of God at work or just the middle finger? And people are asking, are we coming finally to the end of the Kali Yuga? Well, we're right on the cusp. This is what they call the border Kali Yuga. Border Kali Yuga right now. And of course, there are people out there who are talking about the end times. I met a man a while back who was disappointed and depressed because the rapture didn't happen. I said, so the rapture didn't happen. It's not the end of the world, okay? Now, in fact, what's going on right now is that I actually went to the book of Revelations. I actually looked at the book of Revelations, and you won't believe what it said. It said that a sign that the end times are at hand, and I quote, and the last trump shall blow. I know, the blowhard is blowing even harder than usual. However, this may be a time when resistance seems irresistible, and yet we must respond with compassion. Because behind every soulless heel, there is an unhealed soul. And it is the work of the great heavy-duty light workers that we have with us, not just to heal souls, but to re-soul heals. I have a new program to do exactly that. It is called From A-Hole to B-Hole. Very important now. Now, in the past, when the populace was very angry with and dissatisfied, there would be a revolutionary uprising to overthrow the system. Well, we already know that revolutions keep us revolving on the same wheel, the same merry-go-round, the same hamster wheel, the same treadmill of fear, right? And I've said this many times before, when you find yourself on a vicious cycle, for goodness sake, stop pedaling and get off. So we don't need a revolutionary uprising. We need an evolutionary upwising to overgrow the system. And instead of the fear-based state of emergency that we've been leveraged into, we need a love-based state of emergency. That is where we emerge from the illusion of separation and see that we are all connected, that there are no sides, only angles. And when we see it from the right angle, we are all on the same side. So I am happy to announce, this is a presidential announcement, my presidential campaign to bring about political climate change, warmer hearts, and cooler heads. Yes. Instead of the bipolar insanity that we have right now and the tug of war that is pulling us apart, we are calling for a tug of peace where we all pull together in the same direction. The campaign to bring left and right, front and center, to face the music and dance together, to turn the funk into function and leave the junk at the junction. Yes, that's very, very important these days. Now, in order to do that, I've created what I'm calling the Great Upwising. The Great Evolutionary Upwising. It's a recovery program to recover the sane and sacred at the center of humanity. It's a simple 4-step program, which is guaranteed to work 4 times, I'm sorry, my math is off. It's a 4-step program guaranteed to work 3 times faster than 12-step. And the steps are simple. You wake up, wise up, and grow up, show up. So we wake up from the illusion of separation, right? Where we've been set on a battlefield, one against the other. An autoimmune dysfunction that has destroyed our immune system so that the sociopathogens can run rampant. Yes. We've been hoodwinked by a bunch of winking hoods, and the Commonwealth has been stolen by a very small percentage of the uncommonly wealthy. Well, next we have to wise up, wise up, wise up to the power of loving coherence. This is the untapped super duper power that's very important at a time when so many people have been super duped. We need to bring red tribe and blue tribe together to sit in sacred circle and talk until they're purple in the face. Because only by being together as one purple people will the peeps outnumber the perps. And then we have to grow up from children of God to adults of good. See, we've been stuck in this awkward phase called addled essence, where our essence has been addled by toxic beliefs. And what people believe is truly unbelievable. Now remember, truth lives in the heart. Beliefs lie in the head. And so we need to focus on the love in our heart so we don't get hijacked by the lies that they're putting into our heads. Yes? So it also means when we grow up to be the you that you were meant to be. You know, they say that the unexamined life is not worth living, but the unlived life is not worth examining either, right? So it's very important that we actually be who we are here to be and release the grip of the ego. I've created a simple 3-word mantra to do that. Ego, egoing, egon, just like that. Or you can use mental floss. Back and forth twice a day, you'll prevent truth decay. That's very important. Now, we also, finally, we need to show up on a new playing field, ready to play a new game, to gather all good intentions under one big intent, thrival for each and all, intentional mutual benefit, where we move past the identity issues that separate us and we focus on the identical issues we all have in common. Clean air, clean water, clean food, and clean government. And where everyone is referred to with the same pronoun, thee, namaste, I honor the God in you. Yes. Now, it was great that Rihanna talked about the Great Reset. Well, we actually have something called the Great We Set, where we, the people, set the new standard that we want to live by, and we gather around the virtues and the values that the 90% of us who are not sociopaths share in common. So we can create government of the people, by the people, for the people, where the government does our bidding, not the bidding of the highest bidder. And so to truly activate these 4 steps, we have to take an all-important 5th step. Take a vow of levity. A vow of levity. Because when the gravity of situation is bringing you down, it's time to let levity lift you up off the battlefield so you can see from a higher view. So, join me now. All of those wishing to take a vow of levity, please rise and repeat after me. All for fun.
All for fun.
And fun for all.
And fun for all.
I now pronounce you duly absurdified. Okay, good. Now, it's very, very interesting in these times. I know that this is a very, very spiritually evolved group that we're working with, of course. And everybody on this call knows that each of us already has all of the answers within. It's matching them with the corresponding questions. That is the challenge. And so, if the people out there, if you have an answerable question for the Swami will have a questionable answer for you. So, are you ready? I'm ready.
Beautiful. Thank you, Swami. First of all, people are loving you. I'm going to read a couple comments as well as questions that have come. Shoshana writes, so grateful to have the epic Steve and Trudy in Ashlandia. And I just want to acknowledge behind every great Swami, there's a Trudy. And there she is. But you know, the thing about Trudy is she is doing a menage a trois because she sleeps with both Steve and Swami. So she's pretty far out. But she's doing a good job. So good job there, Trudy.
Thank you, Scott.
A lot of people just saying how much they love you, Steve and Swami. Pure joyful genius. Connie writes, Swami is a true genius and so cool that it's so funny and inspiring and truth-telling. Rihanna was jotting down some of your best quotes. Truth, DK. Yes, absolutely. And Dorina Joy made a confession, Trudy, I don't know. She confesses that way back when visiting Ojai, she literally slept in the same bed as Steve with her common friend, Jeff Huntner, but never at the same time. Just thank you for sharing that, Dorina. All right, here are a couple questions that came in.
Okay.
First one was Peter Sterling, our beloved Peter, asks, he says, Swami, I think I'm being contacted by extraterrestrials here in Sedona. What should I do?
Well, first of all, I think you should definitely listen to them, although I have to confess that I think one of the big problems we are facing on the planet is extraterrestrials. We have way too many terrestrials. We don't need any extra. But as long as they're making a contribution, bring them on, bring them on, bring them on. We need all the help that we can get from all of the cosmic comic realms, all the help that we can get, anything that is beaming love our way. That is very powerful because of the fear that is being implanted in us, that's bringing up, as people have said earlier, it's bringing up the fear that is already there for revelation. And these are times, they call them apocalyptic times, which means the lifting of the veils. And to coin another phrase, the truth shall upset you free. So very important to be able to metabolize this, because we humans have been living for tens of thousands of years under the rule of the lowest common denominator. And the rule of gold has been overruled by the golden rule, I'm afraid, has been overruled by the rule of gold rule, which is do unto others before they can do unto you. This has left us with a lot of residue to metabolize. And so here's the question. This is the question for humanity. Can we undo the do that has been done, or will the done do be our undoing? So we welcome help from all of the beings out there from other realms.
Well, thank you for that. A whole lot of doo-doo going on there. there's a question from Jeffrey Colbrook wanting to know, as you run for president, what party are you going to be running on, or do you have any thoughts about the different political parties?
Well, I think that we call it one big party, the fundamentalist party, with the accent on fun. One big party, everyone is invited. Now, what we have right now, we have a deeply divided body politic. Half the people believe the system is broken, the other half believe it is fixed. And so what we need to do
Yeah.
is bring left and right, front and center to face the music and dance together. And it is a transpartisan movement to release the partisan trance. Now, I am not running for office. I am engaging everyone to be running mates so that we, the people, become the leaders we have been waiting for. That is what the upwising is about. We see that we've been fooled, that we've been tricked, and yet we have common sense wisdom. Imagine, imagine using the wisdom of the crowds, the wisdom of common people, the uncommon, commonly sensed common sense consensus that the 90% of us who are not sociopaths would agree with. So my presidential campaign is for us to elect ourselves. And as I said earlier, to create political climate change, warmer hearts and cooler heads, and to face the deepest issue on the planet, eracism. Eracism is where one race wants to erase another race, and the other race says, not if we erase you first. And then it's an erase to the bottom that could possibly erase the entire human race. So this part of this upwising is connecting with one another at the heart and leaving the static of the head for the ecstatic of the heart. That's the campaign.
Beautiful. One last question for you, and then I'm going to bring your panelists, the other panelists, up for general Q&A. This is actually from Rihanna asking, Swami, what is the cosmic joke?
Well, you know, the cosmic joke is that we have all of the resources that we have at our command to bring the power of love, this untapped power, and we are spending all of our energy fighting each other. You know, somebody asked me recently, Swami, how do you explain the suffering of all the people on the planet who do not have enough to eat? I said, well, that's easy to explain. What's harder to explain is the suffering of the people on the planet who have plenty to eat. So this is what we have, happiness being an inside job. You know, we are not here to earn God's love. We're here to spend it, right? And so that is our work, is to spend that love infinitely in our lives. And that is how we spread this love and light everywhere we go. It's the best that we can do.
I actually am going to squeeze one more question in from George Noble. He says, our political problems may be due to having too many lawyers in Congress. Do you agree?
Well, you know, I as a fundamentalist, accent on the fun, my vision is non-judgment day. That's what we're working toward, non-judgment day. That is where everybody wins a beauty contest and all of the lawyers will disappear because our trials will be over. We won't need them.
Beautiful. Well, I want to let people know that there are two ways to connect with Swami soon. Let's talk about the first one, which is for everybody. This is online, and it is Swami for Precedent, Precedent, Swami for Precedent. And this is an important presidential campaign. And tell us a little bit more about it, Swami. And I've, of course...
Well, basically, you know, again, in 2004, I had the Swami for President campaign. There's the book that came out. Now, of course, they'd never let you fly over the White House like that these days. It was very difficult to get that shot. But right now, the idea behind it is that we want to bring love and laughter to the political system so that we lose the isms that are keeping us apart. My vision, I call it television. I television to you, you television to me. My vision is that all of the isms become wasms, things of the past, and we engage with each other from the heart, and then we use the mind in the service of the heart. We don't need artificial intelligence. We need artificial intelligence, so that we are able to use AI in a way that it is a servant and not a master. And only by coming together at the heart in every community, creating a sane and sacred center, can we put the heart in charge finally and achieve our spiritual destiny, where we become humankind, where human kindness is the currency. So that is the movement. I'm going to be traveling a little bit, but also be doing shows via Zoom. I can be anywhere, anytime. And this is a presidential campaign where I'm enrolling people to become running mates and join the uprising and spread the news and bring people together to solve problems together rather than fighting each other on the battlefield. I know what you're thinking. I'm proposing a sane world. I must be crazy. So I invite you to join my sane asylum so we can go sane together.
Beautiful. So I've put that link into the chat box, everybody. Please go to that link and all register. Let's all be a part of this beautiful and important campaign. I also want to invite you to come to my neck of the woods, where Swami is going to be at the Sunrise Center. And some of you have been to other events at the Sunrise Center. I know we've got a fair number of Bay Area people with us tonight. So if you go to sunrisecenter.org and then click on upcoming events, and there you see that Swami and Steve are both going to be doing a pair of events this Saturday night. They're going to be doing a kind of a stand-up show, stand up with Swami, sit down with Steve. And then on Sunday, a wake up laughing. Is that a workshop kind of teaching people?
Well, this is really a chance to totally immerse in laughter. I call it wake up laughing and leave laughter in your wake. So we all wake up laughing, we enjoy that, and then we find ways. I'll be helping you find the ways to bring what I call situational comedy to any situation, to where you can be a bringer of laughter and light. You don't have to be a comedian, but there are ways that anyone can do that. And the more you do it, the better you get, the more fun you have. And laughter is like loaves and fishes. One person can come into a room with a joke, and 100 people can leave with it. So this is like infinite love, infinite laughter to help raise the laugh force on our planet. Very, very important right now.
That's beautiful. So that's this Saturday.
Yes.
Now, of course, a lot of our people will be watching the show. But for those of you who can make it down, come on down. You can always watch the replay of our show. And his show on Saturday night will be at 7:30 p.m. And I'm planning on heading over there at the end of The Awakening World and catching the last of Stand Up with Swami and Sit Down with Steve. And then his workshop on Sunday, it's short. It's for 3 hours from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And it's kind of fun because Swami Steve is staying right here where I live in Tiburon. I woke up to this wonderful smell of coffee. And it was Steve making the coffee. So I'm going to bring up your fellow panelists, and this will be a chance for a few questions from our audience. And Peter, I was wondering, how long is the video that you shot of the UFOs?
There's a short one we can look at. It's
Is that the one you put into the chat box?
I have one that's a 1 minute 22. Yes, the one in the chat box. It's a minute 22 to give you a really good idea of what we're seeing.
Yeah, while I pull it up, tell us. Oh, you need to put your original sound off.
Okay. Well,
And tell us a little bit about what we're about to see.
this is some unusual lights that I'm catching out in the western canyons of Sedona at night with my night vision. And I was very much guided because I've had this connection for pretty much my whole life. And I've been looking at the skies with night vision here for over a decade. And but I got a message that I was to go to this particular location and take a look. And so that's what I did. And lo and behold, these incredible display of UAPs or glowing orbs, a whole show. They're like doing this dance in the sky, and I'm going out tonight, actually. I've got our dear brother Alan Steinfeld in town with his retreat group. So I got about 10 people I'm taking out tonight right after this. We're going to go have a look. But it's amazing. There's something very special happening. I could talk a lot about it, and it's also tied in with the alien artifacts that are being unearthed in Mexico. I don't know if people have seen these, but I have one here. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of. Let me hold it up to the camera. Can you see? This is called a
Yeah,
potato.
we see it
Oh,
very
that
well.
one, yeah.
So this is a potato stone, and look who's on it. Okay, these have been dated to thousands of years old, probably between 12 and 40,000 years old.
Wow.
They're being dug up in Mexico. They're about 10 to 15 feet under the dirt. So they're using ground penetrating radar in several locations. If you want to learn more, here's another one. And it's really cool. Like, let me just show you this potato stone. You see the little ET, and then on the back, there's all this incredible light language.
Wow.
And then on the bottom, there's another one there, you see. And then here's another one, another potato stone. And what's really interesting, this material that they're made out of, they've had it tested in the lab. It's a geopolymer. We don't have a material like this. They don't even know what it is. It's very heavy for its size, and some of them are glow green in the dark when you put a light on them. So, and then there's this one of my favorite little ones. It's a little spaceship you see here. And this comes from Ojilos in Mexico, where this particular style comes from. They're dug up under the ground, and you see there's a little ET being in there. This is his little spaceship, and you can see him there. And so this is what's interesting is when you you look, you can see there's all sorts of inscriptions. And on the back, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of hard to see, but there's like a winged. Let me see if I can hold it up properly so you can get a sense for it. Yeah. So maybe if you can see that,
Yeah, we
like
see.
a winged alien. So
Oh my
these
God.
are connected to the Anunnaki. You know, this what's being
Yeah,
revealed,
Anunnaki, yeah.
this ancient history that we've all heard about our whole lives about these ancients is being now validated by what's coming out of the ground. It's mind-blowing. So I invite everybody, if you want to learn more about it, go to the website aliencarvings.com. You have a look there, your mind will be blown to see what they're pulling out of the ground. I'm in touch with one of the main guys who's speaking this weekend with the Hertax down in Scottsdale for their Easter retreat. And he's published 4 books on the subject, and he's building a museum. So it's fascinating. So I first connected with these artifacts, and I had them, and I was hanging out with. Then I started getting messages like they're like, "Come out, come out," and so I'm taking people out. I just got a new pair of really high quality military grade night vision goggles that will be. I have a few different pairs, so it's pretty cool what's happening. And I think it's all tied into, disclosure and the state of the planet, and there's an acceleration of this being revealed. It's the great revealing. It's amazing how many humans think that we're all alone in this vast universe of billions of galaxies and planets. And, many would have you think that there's nobody else out there. But indeed, I think the great revealing is happening. So I think that's why I'm being called. I'm being called to be like an ambassador and to help to bridge the worlds and to help people to come out and have this experience. So if you come to Sedona, I also just want to mention I just formed a new Facebook group. It's called Sedona First Contact. So if you'd like to join our group, I'm posting a lot of videos there from my nightly journey so you can kind of see the action and some other stuff. So yeah, it's exciting. Getting ready to go out tonight, as a matter of fact.
Wow. Well, Alan's going to be on the show Saturday night,
There
actually.
you go. Synchronicity, right?
All right, I'm going to show this video that you just described.
Okay.
And thank you for showing those incredible artifacts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look at the video. Let me make it big. And here we go.
So what you're looking at here, I'm using it's a digital night vision monocular. It's called the Night Owl iGen, IGEN, and they're not expensive, but they are capturing the light. And I have a video out that I'm connecting to a small video monitor and I'm filming with my iPhone. So I'm trying to keep my phone on the screen and I'm also looking, up at the sky. I'm doing it all. But look how they light up and power up for us. Just amazing. And and they have these really unusual trajectories and then they flare up like that and they die out, but they're coming up over a very legendary place that's been known for decades to be a portal of extraterrestrial activity out towards Sycamore Canyon, Secret Mountain, and the Bradshaw Ranch. So it's quite a phenomenon when you're seeing them. It's really otherworldly, and the way they move, to me, it's like they're just coming up to fly around and then they're just dazzling to the eye to see them. You can see them actually with the naked eye as well. And this is black and white, but these big ones here, many of them have an amber or golden glow to them, this golden light around them. And there's no flashing beacon. They're not aircraft, because I know what those look like. So something very special is happening here.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. The Bradshaw Ranch, when I was producing, I worked as a producer on a nationally broadcast primetime show called The Paranormal Borderline back in the mid 90s. And we went out to the Bradshaw Ranch and I produced a couple of segments from there. And it was amazing, some of the phenomena. And that's 30 years ago.
Yes.
So,
I was just out there just the other day. I was with my girlfriend. We were on a Jeep ride and we went way out and I saw this Jeep road and out towards Onanki, way out towards the ruins out west. And I decided, hey, I'm going to go up this road and check it out. And we got up there and then I looked at my maps and I was on Bradshaw Road and I looked and the M was the Bradshaw Ranch up ahead on the maps I saw on my phone. So we dropped into this valley and there we were at the Bradshaw Ranch. There was nobody there. And we went in and we walked through the property. And this actually happened the night before I saw the light orb. So first I was like guided to find, I've been in Sedona over 30 years and never been to the Bradshaw Ranch. It was so synchronistic the way it unfolded and came. And then we walked around. It was a very mystical place. And then the next night I caught this video out in the same area. So I believe that's why I asked the great Swami, I'm being talked to. What should I do? So it's quite a phenomena. So Swami, you come to Sedona, we'll take you and your beautiful wife out and show you something you've never
It sounds
seen.
like a blast. And if they're talking, you should be listening.
Well, I know, and I think they're gonna like you. They're gonna like you. So
Well, see, I am turban powered. That's what this feather is. It's the receiver for all of that information.
wow.
awesome.
I'm going to bring Shashi on because I realized that I showed everybody else's website, but I haven't shown Shashi's. So to get more information, it's her name, Shashi Soluna, Shashi, Shashi Soluna, Solluna, or it could be souluna.com. This is where you can learn all about her different offerings. And Shashi, I know you do retreats. Do you do private online coaching with people?
I do group coaching. I have a training for men twice a year and a training for women, and then I work with couples. So yeah, and you can see I also run a channel which is called livetantra.com. It's like a tantra you can trust. I really pick the best tantra teachers in the world. And so I have a lot of online material. I represent people like Margot Anand and Sarita, like really great teachers.
Marco is a very long time friend. We've been friends for 40 years.
I'm having lunch with her straight after this.
Well, this is an interesting show, all the connections. Well, give Margot my love. Margot and my wife who passed away were the dearest of friends.
Oh,
And I produced Margot's movie. I produced that for her. And I have a long history with Margot. And as I say, she and my wife were very, very close. So definitely let her know you're on the show and give Margot my love.
Will. She's a lot of fun.
It's amazing. Well, you know what? If there are no questions coming in, I'm gonna, Rihanna, you just go ahead and tell us what you were posting about the Bradshaw Ranch, since you are a Sedonaite.
Yes, I discovered a little bit of what looks like a Mayan temple out in 2020 down near to where Bradshaw Ranch is. I sort of found myself there. There were some very unusual sort of bird-like sounds. And so basically there's an unmanned interdimensional portal there that would normally have the indigenous people, like they do in Bali, doing ceremony to balance the light and dark. But as there's no one there, it's just open. So that's unfortunate. And then I have experienced with the night vision goggles seeing phenomena appearing from above Cathedral Rock and then also disappearing above Cathedral Rock. So definitely there are things that are going on that we can't explain.
Absolutely. Well, to get more explanation, I encourage everybody to go to Rihanna's website, MayanMystic.com.
Thank you.
MayanMystic.com. And again, for Peter, his website, everybody, is harpmagic.com. Harpmagic.com. Let me go there real quick. Here we go. And he's got so many amazing albums. Go there, buy some of his music. It's such a beautiful way to raise our vibration and just explore. It's a very elaborate website. There's a lot going on there. And it's been really wonderful to have all of you on the show. I'm going to bring you all up one more time. And then we're going to go, don't worry, don't go away, because we still have our prayer time with Desiree coming up. So let me bring up all of our presenters one last time so that we can thank them, send them love, send them appreciation, visit their websites. And for all of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, join the Global Peace Tribe. And that way you can be in the Zoom room, get all the links. There's so much wonderful chat that goes on during the show. It's really, really fun. So just taking a quick look, people just thanking you for all the lovely shares. What a wonderful show. And what an amazing combination all four of you are. You should take this, the four of you, and hit the road, do the tour. It's such a beautiful combination of wisdom, music, comedy. You guys rock. Here is Desiree. And our beloved Diara is still convalescing, but she promises that she'll be back on Saturday night. So we'll start maybe by sending some love for her and turning it over to you, Desiree.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Taking a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Can we please send love to Diara and those that need it as well? They're on the call, a part of our tribe, and that we have touched. As we talk about entities, can we please remove anything and everything that's in the highest good for us to remove, heal whatever our inner child needs to heal at this time. So I'm getting a message. You're very accurate, Rihanna. In the things that you said. Thank you. I'm also getting a message that we're in preparation with the ETs, and that we should be listening. Thank you.
And let's go into silence. I'm going to go to gallery view. And let's take a moment together collectively to send prayer for anyone in our world, in our orbit, including yourself and including our world. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Desiree. It is a hard time for so many people right now. This morning, I got an SOS from a woman who I never coached before, but who knew of me, and she tried to commit suicide last night. And thank God didn't succeed, and reached out to me this morning. And it just was such a reminder of how many people are feeling desperate. So let's really pay attention. Who do you know that's lonely? Who do you know that's going through crisis? Please pray for them and reach out to them, call them, check in with them, text. It's so important for us to really be extra sensitive to our great global tribe. Those of us who are blessed and going through, a good time or an easier time, we really need to be extra sensitive to taking care of those friends of ours who are going through big challenges. I do want to let people know about, don't go away. We've got Peter Sterling harp music to close us out. But I do want for everyone to know what we're going to be doing on Saturday night. And on Saturday night, it's going to be previewing the New Living Expo. And we've got a great lineup of people. Joan of Angels will be with us. Alan Steinfeld will be here co-hosting and giving a Making Contact update. Our beloved Vivian Chauvet, I know many of you love Vivian. She's going to be with us. Darren Starwen, he's been on the show before. And a new friend, Papa Yonidas. That name, that's right up there with Swami Beyondananda. I don't know if it's... we'll find out. He's new, but he comes highly recommended. So that's going to be on the show. And actually, I just tonight added our beloved Eden Amadora is also going to be on the show Saturday night. Eden's going to be also co-hosting with me and providing a couple of her newest songs from her album. So definitely join us on Saturday night. It's going to be a wonderful show. And I'm going to turn it over to our beloved Peter to close us out with that gorgeous angelic vibe. And I invite all of us close our eyes and let Peter lift you up, up, and away.
Thank you, everybody. up and away.
Love, love, love. Thank you so much. Ah. Well, what a wonderful start to our new season. How blessed we all are. It's wonderful to be with all of you. A reminder that on Easter night, that's coming up this Sunday, is the wonderful Easter moonrise ceremony that Christy Michaels has put together. We talked about it at length last Saturday night. I'll be sending out an email to all of you, and it'll have the details about that. So do join us online Sunday at 5 p.m. I'm looking forward to that. And I look forward to seeing all of you, hopefully on Saturday night. And I hope some of you will come out here to the Bay Area to be with Swami on Saturday night and or again on Sunday afternoon. Thank you, everybody. A wonderful start to our new season. Much love to each and every one of you. Fanny Starchild is in the audience. Fanny's going to be doing music with us soon. And